Hello and welcome to News Round, where we recap stories that made headlines during the week. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Thank you for joining us today. First, we get started with the headlines. The death toll in Mokwa flood disaster continues to rise with over 2,000 lives lost. Vice President Kashim Shettima commiserate with the victims. Another tragic story, mudslide kills 11 people, injures 7 others at local block-making site in Yadoka village in Kaduna State. First edition of Goalkeepers by the Gates Foundation in Africa holds in Lagos, brings together global leaders, including Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates and other innovators. Plus, U.S. President Donald Trump announces a travel ban for 12 countries around the world in a bid to protect U.S. citizens. That's News Round in View. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin today's edition with the latest development from the devastating floods that occurred in Mokwa, Niger State. Now, earlier this week, President Bola Tinubu approved the immediate release of 2 billion naira for the reconstruction of the houses affected by the flooding, and also authorized the immediate release of 20 trucks of rice to be delivered to the victims. Vice President Kashim Shettima disclosed this during a visit to Mokwa in Niger State.
Residents in Mokwa town, Niger State, are still counting their losses after the devastating flood that left death and destruction in its wake. More than 4 communities have been affected by the disaster, with over 4,500 persons displaced, with 458 households impacted. The State Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs put the death toll at 200 persons, with 186 persons injured. According to the state government, 265 buildings were damaged, while 2 major roads and 5 key bridges were washed away in the incident.
You can see here services are running. The mock screening is ongoing. There's antenatal services, antenatal care services here. There's the other tent is being used, to help educate people on basic hygiene, improve sanitation, water safety, so that people can protect themselves from drinking contaminated water. We also have psychosocial support going on for families that are affected.
The victims are asking for some kind of succor from the state and federal governments.
We need your help, because even me, myself, I had not saved with anything. Even shoe, hijab, nothing.
We lost about 14 people, including him. So the family now, we don't have anybody that we can say this one of my cousins here.
Vice President Kashim Shettima takes an aerial view of the devastation as he visits the community. The Vice President is leading the federal government delegation to assess the situation and commiserate with the people. He comes bearing goodies for the victims. The Deputy Governor gave him details of the devastation.
Presently, we have a 4 collapsed bridge. One is railway is here, one is here in Metropolis here, another one is just here that connected Islam Abubakar College of Agriculture with Mokwa here. Another one is there in Rabat there. The social and economic life of our people have been completely cut off.
The Vice President addressed the people, delivering the message of President Bola Tinubu to the victims, assuring them that the federal government is with them during this trying time.
The President has authorized the immediate release of 2 billion naira to immediately commence the construction of homes destroyed by the disaster. Immediately I will get back to Abuja, inshallah, I will authorize the MD of Niger Delta Power Holding Company to make arrangements for a 14 MVA transformer for Mokwa town.
He is led through the rubble of what is left of the community by the deputy governor. He then discloses more gestures for the people.
We are going to rebuild the bridges. The federal government, under the able leadership of President Bola Tinubu, has already directed the federal Minister of Works to immediately embark on the reconstruction of the four destroyed bridges, which is a lifeline, actually, a major artery road that connects the south with the northern part of Nigeria.
The impact of the flood disaster in Mokwa is still very visible as the people struggle to put their lives together. The Vice President's visit has reignited hope in them, and they look forward to the fulfillment of all the promises made by the federal government. For now, they're counting their losses in terms of human lives and properties. From Mokwa in Niger State, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Tragedy also hit in Damao district in Kabao local government area of Kaduna, where at least 11 people were also killed, 7 injured in a mudslide at a local block-making site in Yadoka village. The victims, mostly children, were working at the site when the heap of sand they were digging at gave way, burying them under its weight.
This is Yadoka, an agrarian community in Kubao local government area of Kaduna State. On Monday, the community was thrown into mourning following the death of 11 people, mostly children, following the collapse of a sand pit at a local block-making site.
We are at home at that time. Just people starting cry. The people are under the ground. We are just run out and see the people inside. Some are wounded, some are died.
The Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency is in the community to assess the situation and commiserates with the victims.
We are here to pay our condolences to our brothers. We pray that God will comfort the families that lost their loved ones. We also pray for good health for those recovering in the hospital. We are also grateful to Governor Obasani, who has mandated us to provide relief materials to victims of the incident. This is a loss to the entire Kaduna State.
Though investigations into the cause of the incident is still ongoing, the emergency agency attributes the incident to avoidable man-made disaster and calls for caution, especially as the rainy season sets in.
We have a prototype sampling on how to completely avoid this kind of man-induced disaster, because we cannot call this natural disaster because it is not something that just comes like that. So hopefully, and by the grace of God, when we return back to Kaduna, we are going to report His Excellency this night and to make sure that at least this Kota place is being addressed as soon as possible.
Beyond the mudslide, the community is also facing erosion challenges, which state governments are hoping to collaborate with the federal government to address.
Meanwhile, while the federal government tries to offer relief to the affected victims of flooding, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has given warning on the impact of this year's rainfall and the potential flood across the country. The Deputy Director in charge of relief and rehabilitation at the agency, Mr. Abani Garki, gave this warning at a stakeholders' engagement to strengthen resilience, enhance preparedness and response system in Dalingo, the Taraba state capital.
Referencing the 2025 seasonal climate prediction by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, and the annual flood outlook by the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. This stakeholders engagement, organized by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is making efforts to avert the loss of lives and property during the natural incidences this year. Last year, 10,505 persons were displaced in Taraba State, while 42,284 persons were affected following the 2024 flood. Stakeholders in the state are making moves to record zero flood disaster.
The essence of this gathering is to strengthen our disaster management response and enhance our emergency response. So it is crucial and efficient for the stakeholders to converge together to have a coordination on how to handle disaster and emergency.
There is no disaster that is managed by one agency alone. We need each other's cooperation. We can't handle each other.
Based on the rainfall and floods predictions, NEMA has developed a climate-related risk management implications, preparedness and mitigation action plan. The agency wants communities in flood-prone areas to take steps to avert any disaster.
As part of our flood early warning system, NEMA has identified disaster risk management implications and mitigation strategies for communication to communities at risk during the rainy season. We have also produced vulnerability maps for all communities at risk to serve as tools to guide government at all levels to develop risk reduction measures to avoid disaster losses during the year. Public and private institutions, humanitarian, non-governmental organizations, school children and youth organizations are expected to leverage on these early warning tools to support the efforts of NEMA and other government institutions.
The meeting also discussed strategies for responding to emergencies in the state.
To yet another tragic occurrence in Nigeria that occurred during the week, this time an airstrike. It tore through an oil mill in Bunu River State, destroying farmland and livelihoods of residents in the quiet settlement in Thai local government area. Residents say the area was mistaken for an illegal oil refining site, leading to destruction, injury, and a growing call for justice.
Charred rooftops, twisted drums, bullet holes in corrugated sheets. For residents of this rural Ogoni settlement, what should have been another day of processing palm oil became a scene of terror and confusion.
It's not something of 100. It's not 100.
They say a military aircraft believed to be from the Nigerian Air Force mistakenly bombed an oil mill, thinking it was an illegal crude oil refining camp.
Obviously, they knew where they were going to. They knew the area. They did their geography very well to determine that they were going to Bunu Thai. But unfortunately, where they struck was a place where the people work for their daily bread. So that will go to prove that they didn't do their logistics very well. They didn't do their GIS information very well to be able to decide that, is that really the place we're going?
And for those who witnessed it, it was like a war zone. Panic, confusion, screams, and a rush for safety.
People took to their heels when we suddenly saw a plane that came and started shooting. In fact, what happened was just like during the war days, when planes were coming, bombing, and running away. But it's not wrong. Just stay at a place, continue shooting for a period of about 30 minutes. Went back, came again, started the same thing, went back, came back, just like that. So everybody took to their heels, ran. Those in the farm were shouting. Well, several people were wounded.
We are trying to find this way.
Our crew visited the oil mill, and what we found was evidence of distress: punctured roofs, drums riddled with shrapnel, and stories that cut deep. A woman breaks down as she tells us her two sons haven't been seen since the raid.
I'm looking for my two sons. I didn't see my two sons.
Where your two sons they work before?
We are in the farm. I carried them from school, so we are here working. The next thing we are here, they started to shoot. So I didn't see my two sons. I'm looking for them.
Category of bullets or categories of sound we heard here in my life, I've not heard. I thought it was a civil war.
In the midst of the rubble, the chairman of the Community Development Committee confirms the painful truth that the Air Force has apologized, saying it was an error.
As a community, we have tried to let government know our position. Although last week Friday, the group commander of Air Force came to the hospital to meet my wife and apologize that it was an error, that they were misinformed, meaning that the whole scenario should not be left unchecked.
For the people of Buno, it's not just about damaged roofs or lost produce. It's about justice, accountability, and the hope that such mistakes never happen again. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
Welcome back to News Round. Improved investment, partnerships, and the development of homegrown artificial intelligence solutions for Africa's health sector were at the heart of discussions at the Goalkeepers event organized by the Bill Gates Foundation in Lagos. The first edition in Africa attracted the creme de la creme in the country and beyond, including the chair of the Gates Foundation, Bill Gates himself, the chairman of Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, the governor of Gombe State, Inuwa Yahaya, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, amongst others.
The atmosphere here at the Intercontinental Hotel Lagos is vibrant as guests arrive for the Goalkeepers event, which highlights the critical role of African nations in achieving global development targets by 2030. That energy moves to the hall as the choir renders a collection of great African tunes for a start. The Goalkeepers 2030 lives to its billings as various panelists key into the focus, Africa in motion, future of progress, beginning with discussion on scaling solution in AI and health.
I think the dominant fact is that AI is about people, not about technology. And if AI will serve the people, it must understand the people.
There are more inspiring stories from those who dared to live their dream.
Hungry kids can't learn, and lost days in classrooms mean lost potential. Today, Food for Education serves over 530,000 school meals every day across Kenya.
The chair of the Gates Foundation and the governor of Gombe State both graced the stage to discuss funding and partnership.
Thank you, gentlemen. We are very much looking forward to...
It's been 25 years of massive investment in Africa by the foundation. However, the chair believes Africa's progress will depend on sustained investment in human capital, especially the youth.
How much that youth can really drive progress will depend on the investment decisions we make in the next 20 years in their health and their education. And so if we prioritize that, boy, there's an unbelievable future.
We had to be ingenious to start using biometric machines to take attendance and monitor the performance of our health workers in their various locations.
Also speaking at the event, President of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, challenges the private sector to step up its role in achieving health self-reliance, particularly in pharmaceutical production.
And what we need to do is to make sure that we stop this health tourism. And we should now get into producing our own drugs, but we need to do partnership with Bill.
While the event is done, it however serves as a reminder that significant challenges remain, but concerted efforts will continue to drive real progress towards a more equitable and prosperous future for all. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
On Friday, Muslims worldwide commemorated Eid al-Adha, also known as Eid al Kabir, one day after pilgrims converged on the Mount Arafat in Saudi Arabia. Most Muslims attended the events in mosques throughout the world wearing new clothes as well. The two Rakat players held at the major mosques around the world. Some even exchanged gifts. In Lagos, President Bola Tinubu urged Muslims to celebrate Eid al Kabir with the vulnerable and pray for the peace of the country. He made those comments after the Eid al Kabir prayers at Dodon Barracks, Ikoyi in Lagos.
Muslim faithful, both young and old, are out early to observe the 2025 Eid al Kabir prayer at Dodon Barracks, Ikoyi, Lagos. The annual spiritual exercise is important to all Muslims, including President Bola Tinubu, who joins other dignitaries to give thanks to Almighty Allah for the privilege to celebrate this year's Eid al Kabir in good health. As the prayer session progresses, the message of unity and peaceful coexistence is echoed by the Chief Imam of Lagos.
The family of Prophet Ibrahim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the father, the mother, and the child, stood in total obedience and trust in Allah. They were united, and Allah made them a symbol of unity. Nigeria must be one. We must rise above tribal and religious sentiment.
President Tinubu asked citizens to pray for troops fighting insurgency and love one another.
As we make sacrifices, we should remember to pray and give to those who are very vulnerable. In the spirit of peace, must come together, be one another's brother's keeper, give your neighbors, love everyone equally. We must pray hard for our troops who are keeping us safe, making the sacrifices in the challenges that we face in terrorism and banditry today. We must pray for them specifically, and we must remember their sacrifices and continue to be of good behavior.
Eid al Kabir represents the high point of the sacred first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, a period filled with opportunities for acts of worship and sacrifice, one that the Chief Imam believes must be obeyed for the benefit of the country.
My appeal to us as a nation, that for the nation to achieve any meaningful progress, we have to have that sacrifice. We must ensure and we must exercise patience. For us as a peaceful society, peaceful coexistence, we have to sacrifice something. There is nothing free in life. You have to sacrifice something. We pray that Allah will grant our nation peace and harmony, that Allah should continue to strengthen everybody, that we witness more of this in life.
Others are hopeful for a better country.
I wish Nigerians a very happy Eid. We pray that Lagos State will continue to progress, Nigeria will continue to progress, God will continue to strengthen the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Grant him strength to continue to steer the affairs of the nation in the right direction.
The message is of togetherness, primarily unity of the country, and to keep peace and believe in the aspiration of all Nigerians. Again, inshallah, everything will be okay.
As Muslims return home to celebrate with their loved ones, President Tinubu urges Nigerians to always remember the significance of Eid al Kabir, pray for the country, and believe in his administration's Renewed Hope initiative, which he believes will set Nigeria firmly on the path of sustainable development.
Finally, we end the news round in the United States, where President Donald Trump announced a ban on travel for 12 countries into the U.S. Take a look.
We will not let what happened in Europe happen to America. That's why on my first day back in office, I directed the Secretary of State to perform a security review of high-risk regions and make recommendations for where restrictions should be imposed. Among the national security threats their analysis considered are the large-scale presence of terrorists, failure to cooperate on visa security, inability to verify travelers' identities, inadequate record-keeping of criminal histories, and persistently high rates of illegal visa overstays, and other things. Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States. That is why today I am signing a new executive order placing travel restrictions on countries including Yemen, Somalia, Haiti, Libya, and numerous others. The strength of the restrictions we're applying depends on the severity of the threat posed. The list is subject to revision based on whether material improvements are made, and likewise new countries can be added as threats emerge around the world. But we will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm, and nothing will stop us from keeping America safe.
U.S. President Donald Trump. And that's News Round in View, where we brought you stories that made headlines during the week. Thanks for watching. I'm Olumide McCauley. See you again.